Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Deliverance Council of the Fallen from Lowen Games. Deliverance Council of the Fallen is an expansion to, well, Deliverance, also coincidentally enough from Lowen Games, a 2016 game, or maybe the Kickstarter was in 2016, a game that came out already, a skirmish game which you're going to be taking control of a bunch of angels, facing off against a bunch of demons in a skirmish setting where you're going to go pick your enemies, pick your demon you're fighting against, pick your various angels, mix and match and combine, power up your angels as you gain XP while trying to rescue saints, cast down darkness, all these fun things as you go head to head with the various demons along the way, trying to survive, thrive, and hopefully stay alive. That's the base game of Deliverance. It also did come with a little mini campaign in as well that you can dive into as well to give you its twist on the gameplay that extends the game well over a campaign. So you're gaining XP over a campaign instead, which is very relevant to Council of the Fallen. Council of the Fallen is an expansion to Deliverance. Oh, before we dive into Council of the Fallen, my brief thoughts on Deliverance over here, because I've already covered in a full review, you can check that out, but I gave Deliverance a 4 out of 5, a rating that I think holds still true so far, but a 4 out of 5 for me, a game which I love the powers and abilities. My biggest complaint against it was the fact that as a skirmish game, sometimes you're just trying to close the distance between things, kill them, and rinse and repeat until you win. It felt like the map aspect of it didn't feel as tactically rewarding as I would like, but the powers and abilities are some of the best I've seen in any game. Powering up your angels is incredibly satisfying, and wiping the floor with the various enemies and seeing what combination you can do to go ahead and do 27 damage in a single move, those can be incredibly fun moments. That's kind of my very, very distilled thoughts on Deliverance. Watch the review if you want my full overall thoughts. Council of the Fallen is going to be an expansion that's going to introduce a few new things to Deliverance. The first thing it's going to introduce is another campaign. We have the Council of the Fallen campaign, of which I've only been able to go through the first 3 scenarios because that's all we have in this current prototype over here. This is a good time to mention. This is a prototype, rules and components subject to change, and I'll have a link to the crowdfunding campaign down below. But over here in this Council of the Fallen booklet over here, we have 3 missions to go through. That's going to be the start of the Council of the Fallen campaign. We also have a whole bunch of Deliverance scenarios. This is going to be a big deal and very much a highlight of my review over here, but we have a bunch of Deliverance scenarios. I don't know the final count that they're planning on, but these are basically kind of a mix between skirmish and campaign, giving you a bit more of a story kind of situation, incorporating campaign-like events, for example. The campaigns are going to often have events, larger map tiles, a lot more focus on the tactical maneuverability around the map, a lot more management as far as how and what you're doing as you go through some sort of story or situation, but still isolated to a one-shot, which means the experience gain is going to be focused in the single level that you're playing as opposed to the campaign that slowly expands your experience gain over the course of multiple sessions and gives you these little sheets over here, if we can find them over here, little sheets. The campaign mode is going to give you these sheets where you're going to track your angel's progress, marking off various talents or things you're going to aim, gaining various bonuses, basically tracking and upgrading as you go through a full larger session arc. So again, the first things it introduces is going to have Deliverance scenarios, and we're going to have the Council of the Fallen as a new campaign. We also have a bunch of angels over here to go through. We have Perta, Damascus, Juan, Cora, and Ariel over here, a bunch of new angels. I don't know if there'll be more, again, prototype, rules, components, subject to change, and all that, but a bunch of new heroes, which means a whole smorgasbord of new abilities, and also, based on the way these heroes level up, there's a few ways you power up in Deliverance over here, and one of the main ones is going to be your deck of talents. Talents are going to be cards that you can go ahead and unlock by going through these cards over here, gathering cards level 1, 2, and 3 talents, although they operate a bit differently in the campaign, but generally you're operating with a level 1, 2, and 3 talent over here, and those are going to give you ways that your character powers up that are unique to your character. So this deck of cards over here, completely unique to your character and gives you unique ways for your individual angel to power up throughout the course of the game. Excusing the characters I just dropped over here. The other thing it's going to introduce is going to have more enemies. Again, prototypes, so I don't know the full roster of enemies you're going to have, but more enemies, more demons, basically more various baddies to go through. We have some over here on the smorgasbord on the side. We have some from the original game because of the specific campaign we have set up over here. But basically, more angels, more demons, more enemies, more all of that, while also giving you more fun cards. Not just the cards of the various angels, because each angel has their own unique deck, but you're also going to have prayers and heavenly treasures. These are going to be more static ways you can power up your character. Heavenly treasures in particular are going to be something that you're going to be able to add new weapons to your characters that will boost their stats, as well as giving you, well, we have all these new one-time use abilities over here, or these ongoing when you do this, gain that. Well, there'll be lots of abilities like that, but you have ways to largely boost your stats, or ways to give you ongoing abilities or one-time use abilities or any kind of triggered abilities from these items and gear, and those are not unique to each angel. You're going to combine that kind of growth whenever you level up in Dominion. You choose either a new talent, whenever you level up in Deliverance, you choose either a new talent or you choose to add a heavenly treasure to your character, and the combination of your unique talents, your already unique abilities your character is going to have, plus the treasures you gain are going to be the way you power up. And then of course there's prayers. Throughout the course of the game, there's going to be darkness cards populating this track over here, and you can cast them down by rolling a bunch of dice and basically taking things out, but also gaining prayers along the way. Prayers are going to give you just these one-time use abilities, where it's basically a card. It's an instant card, a card you can go ahead and cast to help you out in the game. And again, the Council of the Fallen is going to introduce more of that to the game. So to kind of summarize everything that's new to the game, we have, once again, 3 things. We have a new campaign. We have a new bunch of scenario packs over here. So one-time use, one-shot Deliverance scenarios, not one-time use, one-shot Deliverance scenarios. And then we have more content from stuff you're already familiar with, more enemies, more demons, more angels, more treasures, more prayers, and all of that to the game. That's kind of everything that's going on as far as what this campaign adds. So, to that end, let's go ahead and talk about my review, my thoughts on the expansion so far, understanding, of course, this is a prototype, and especially with the scenarios and the campaign, I've only gotten to see some of what's out there. As far as all the other content, I don't know what's limited or what else I'll get to see. But going through my general thoughts on this, let's start with the easy one, which is the more stuff. So, more angels is a good thing. More variety to the characters, very, very satisfying. I've appreciated going through a few of these already, and I have not played as all of them, but I've played through a bunch of these characters already, these angels, and they're very rewarding, much like the angels in the base game. So if you've played the base Deliverance already, you know that each character feels drastically different as far as how they operate, and that's going to be true for these characters as well, in particular their talents. The individual characters, angels in the game, and Deliverance in general, while they do start off feeling somewhat unique, once you play through enough of them, there is a kind of pattern for how some of them will go ahead and boost your marks over here, some of them will utilize them, and you're going to go ahead and have to these free actions every round, but some you have to spend for. Over the course of a few angels, they'll start to feel a little similar, but then as you get their talents, they feel drastically different, and that's true here as well. So more angels just gives you more variety to the game. More enemies just gives you more variety to the game. More demons gives you more variety to the game. More heavenly treasures and prayers, all of that gives you more variety. Oh, and more darkness cards too, by the way. All of that just gives you more variety to the game. Oh, more tiles in case you wanted more. More tiles that you can play with as well. And all of that just gives you welcome variety to the game. For me, easily the most impactful are going to be the new treasures, the new prayers, and the new angels over here. As much as the enemy variety is nice, speaking frankly, when it comes to Deliverance, my favorite part is powering up and getting stronger. The enemies are just different types of fodder I have to deal with, and so while I do like having more variety, that to me wasn't as meaningful. But new angels, new heavenly treasures, and new prayers, that is all absolutely lovely. It's just more. It's not new, it's not different, it's not necessary, but it is more, especially if you're playing through a lot of Deliverance, you'll appreciate the variety. I appreciate the new stuff, so that's a good thing over there. Then as far as the campaign, we move into the slightly less fun news. Not terrible, but I just think the campaign is not my go-to as far as how I like to enjoy Deliverance. The problem with the campaign is it has a very nice payoff as you arc through it, but it starts off very slow. For me, my favorite part about Deliverance is powering up and going through individual sessions and just getting stronger and stronger and wiping the floor with everything. And the campaign slows that down heavily. The first mission of this new campaign is not a short mission, and it's not a short mission in which you're going to have to go through it with your basic angel without the thrill of powering up and getting new fun things along the way, which makes it not a slog, but compared to what Deliverance can be, it is a slog, compared to what Deliverance can be. Now, it does arc upwards nicely as you go through it. The further you get into the campaign, the more you're going to unlock your talents, and you can actually get to a point, which again, in this particular campaign I haven't been able to see yet, because it's only 3 missions, but you'll get to a point where you get even more powerful than basic Deliverance, because you can actually customize the talents you put on your angels higher than you normally do. So normal Deliverance in a single one-shot, you're going to be able to have a level 1, 2, and 3 ability, but you can actually power yourself up to be able to have like 3 level 3 abilities, or 2 level 2s or 3s. You can combine and mix and match in a way you never can in traditional base Deliverance, but it does take time to get there. That combined with my own personal collection, the way I go through games, I love a good campaign game. I appreciate a good one-shot even more because campaign games ask more of me, and so they can be very rewarding, but you also have to really invest more in those. So based on my own personal preferences, as well as the slower start, for me the campaign is not the highlight of how Deliverance plays. It might be for you. If you're willing to power through those first few missions, you will get to a point where the overall progression is better and more satisfying. Not necessarily progression is better, where the things you can do as a character are going to be incredibly more satisfying as you go through it. For me, I love the arc of trying different combinations and powering up more in the one-shot missions. So for me, the one-shot skirmish mode is actually my preferred way to play over the campaign. But we do have even better news because the scenarios are easily my favorite way to play Dominion. But, geez, why do I keep calling this Dominion? Deliverance. The scenarios are easily my favorite way to play Deliverance over here because the scenarios combine the best of both worlds. They give the more nuanced aspect of the way a campaign mission is going to play out, feeling more targeted, feeling more like there's an actual story and a goal and things happening, incorporating events from the campaign in a way that are excellent because, well, the events are a fun addition to the game. The incorporating multi-use tiles in terms of the actual story of what you're trying to do, and as opposed to simply just killing a bunch of enemies until you eventually tackle the prince, it really gives you significantly more to focus on in a way that brings the highlights of the campaign to your one-shot, but then it maintains that arc of the one-shot in the way you're going to gain experience in the traditional way you play through Deliverance. So as you kill enemies, as you rescue saints, all these various things, you're going to be earning experience as you go, which means that arc of playing through a game of Deliverance, where you start off as a lonely angel, and by the time you get to the end of it, you are a powerhouse taking things out, and you don't have to wait and play across 6-7 games to get there. You can do that in a single session. That is, to me, easily the highlight of how I like Deliverance. And so for me, Deliverance is best played as a single shot experience, a single shot scenario, then as a skirmish mode, and campaign is my least favorite. It still is rewarding, but that slow start combined with asking more of you means there is a nice payoff at the end, but it takes much more time to get there. And that's kind of my review of Deliverance Council of the Fallen. I don't think it changes my rating of Deliverance. For me, this Deliverance is still a 4 out of 5, and this still brings you very solid things that reward it, expands upon the experience, it's a nice thing, mostly all good things. Again, the campaign, I'm sure a lot of people will appreciate it. For me, I think it's less likely that I'll go through that as much. But overall, this is just a nice solid expansion to Deliverance, giving you more of things you like, and then for me, easily the highlight of the new things is going to be these single shot scenarios that combine the best of both worlds and give me my favorite way to play through Deliverance. That is my review of Deliverance Council of the Fallen. I'll have a link to the campaign down below, and as always, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you found this video helpful, and as always, I hope you have a good one.